I'm hitting record. It is recording. It is recording. Hi, Chris. How you feeling?
All right.
Good.
Little bursitis.
You were saying. How do you say bursitis?
Bursitis.
Bursitis.
Yeah. Makes my hip hurt.
Were you sitting in? Can you say Indian style anymore? That's not politically correct. Cross-legged? What do you say?
Oh yeah, I'm actually like a little double jointed in my hips, and I sit like a freak.
Yeah. I sit all funky.
Yeah, I got one leg on top of my other leg, with my foot up over my knee, my other knee up in the air, like it's crazy.
Yeah, I when I sit, I do cross leg, and I try to wedge my penis in between the legs when they cross.
Oh, I
gets the blood flowing. Well, yeah, you should give that a shot.
You just kind of like rock around.
Yeah. Sometimes I do. Yeah, just rock around, rocking the boat, cock boat. Got my Cuphead shirt, but I think the microphone's in the way a little bit. But
it's hot.
Hey yo,
it's vintage, true vintage.
Cuphead and Mugman has a hole in it. I bought it with a hole in it. I'm like, I'm gonna return it. Never returned it. Still got the hole. Little hole in the back. Yeah, but not the hole. If the hole expands, it's not cool.
No.
So, anyway, we're back on. We're going to talk about some stuff, right?
Yep.
We have a little bit of news. I played a little bit of games. I don't know about you. I don't know if you played anything, but
play some stuff.
You did. Like different newer stuff, or just the same?
I was going to mention something that I was playing, and I'm like, eh.
Well, I played Mega Man 11.
Yeah, I want to hear about that.
It's funny because like I never felt like I was a big Mega Man. Like I love fucking Mega Man. They're so great. I never felt like I was that way, but I got it with a couple other Switch games that I really want to play too. But Mega Man was the first one I want to play, and I think it's just because like you know what you're getting with a Mega Man game. Like you know how long it's going to be, give or take. And you know that it's going to be, a
run and jump and shoot.
Yeah. I think the first day I got it, I messaged you. I'm like, I got a lot of shit to say about Mega Man. It's not all good.
Don't run away, coward. You'll pay for this insult.
But I was gonna not read any reviews, but I checked out some stuff after I played it and then beat it to see what people say. I guess everyone's right, but they're all like they don't really have much to say in their reviews. You played a lot of Mega Mans, right? Like the shitty ones and the better ones. It's really good, and I think it's like a good reboot, so to speak. It's a very newcomer friendly, but it's not super easy either. I would say it's easier for a Mega Man. Everyone's like, oh, it's hard. You guys are going to have problems with this. And I'll get into that in a second, but I don't find it to be Mega Man 9 hard or Mega Man 2 hard. It's like a combination of like the Mega Man 7 Super Nintendo, Mega Man 8 look.
Yep.
And the easiness kind of mixed with like Mega Man 2 and 9. So it's like a good middle ground. I love the art style. It's fucking awesome. The 3D with like the cell shading look, I guess it is. And the 2.5 like dimension with the side scrolling. Looks great.
But it's not as good as Mighty Number 9.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
I never played Mighty Number 9. I got like fucking like 4 collector's editions. I have like the digital. I have so many versions of this shitty game. And I never played it. Mighty Number 9, man, like even without playing it, it's kind of sad that it's so much like a hack off of Mega Man. They're like, but it's the creator, the original. Okay, do something else, man. It's so much like Mega Man. Like he looks like Mega Man, but he's white and blue, not just blue. Music, disappointing. Music is disappointing for a Mega Man game, big time. Nothing stands out to be bad, but everything is very forgettable, and it kind of blends in the background, which I find that to be a fault, because when I think of Mega Man, the music in Mega Man 2 and 3 was so good that you remember the fucking songs for the characters. Like, you could hum along to them and shit. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a throwback kind of game. There's so many people that would be willing to probably make the soundtrack for Mega Man 11 for free, like just talented like fans and shit, that they could have done that, but no, they just did it's real typical whatever. The weapon power-ups that you get from the enemies are fucking awesome. They might be the coolest power-ups I've played in. I don't know if it's any Mega Man, but they're really, really cool, and they're really crazy, different and fun to play around with. And it does a slow down time thing. That's like their new thing. The one trigger, you can like slow down time real quick, and like it fucks around with like bullet time, Max Payne style, and it like messes around with the just the way you play, and you can dodge crazy shit. Makes it really fun. You can go to Dr. Wally's. Dr. Wally's.
When we find that meteor, we'll find Dr. Wally.
In between levels, and you can just like stack on like items and shit, which I didn't know until the very end, until I got to like Wily's castle stages. Yeah. But if I knew that, you could get so much shit that like the bird helps you out of the spikes and shit. I'm like, wow, makes it not that hard. Try to rush through this. Rush. No pun intended.
Oh, yeah.
I use Rush. He's all right. My wife recorded me freaking the fuck out on Mega Man, by the way.
You piece of shit! Turn the video off. I'm not kidding, Renee. Turn it off.
Dude, why are you so bad?
Why?
Yeah.
If I logged my whole... I can't... Dude, please, Renee, turn it off.
No.
I maybe I'll show you.
You're angry at it?
I'm freaking. Yeah, I'm freaking out. You know what Mega Man 11 doesn't do? Automatically save, which is silly. It should save after you beat a character. So Nina wanted to play Fortnite, so I closed Mega Man to go into Fortnite, and I had to start the whole game over. Thankfully, it's a short-ass game, but...
Can you confirm something for me?
Mm-hmm.
So I heard in this game... when you transition into another room, and you go through the little door, you can't jump up in the air and freeze while the screen transitions into the next room. You know
I didn't try to do it.
What?
But I feel like
a real Mega Man fan.
No, but I don't think you can, because I would have remembered doing that. There's so many spots where I was jumping like around that. Yeah. Yeah, so I would imagine.
Why'd they ruin that?
It doesn't. So it's really good. It's really fun. I think it's worth the money and shit, but I wouldn't say it's like a end all, be all. Like, I think 9 was better. I think Mega Man 9 was fucking awesome and really hard, but like, I don't know, cheap hard.
Yeah.
But I think all Mega Mans are cheap hard. A lot of the levels you have to remember spots.
Yeah, but it only be like a couple in each level, and then it's just skill twitch hard.
Yeah,
but I feel like Mega Man 9 is more traps and less twitch hard.
Well, I don't know, like the bosses in Mega Man's though, like once you know who to start with and who's weak against what, it's a joke, dude, how easy they are once you have the weapons, especially like in 11. Brings me to Mega Man has 4 difficulties in this one. There's like newcomer, casual, normal, and like super hard, right? I ended up playing it on casual. I played it in normal, and I was getting really pissed off because of exactly what we were saying. The difficulty versus cheapness. It didn't ramp up in difficulty. It just ramped up in being lame. So the levels are pretty long. They are pretty long. So when you play it in normal or hard, there's like no checkpoints, and it's that there's like 2 checkpoints. The lack of checkpoints combined with deaths being super cheap, like especially if you don't know the level, you just hit a spike in a drop down spot. I was just like, I'm not going to get through this game. I'm going to get pissed. So I read about what the differences are, and casual is really just like mainly it's the checkpoints and something else. But knowing now, like I feel like after you beat it in whatever difficulty, you could do all of them no problem.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like
Just got it down.
yeah, like once you know the level a little bit, that's the biggest thing. Like everything else is fucking. But I was just like, this is not a fun experience. Let me go back to casual. And they give you challenges after you beat it, like new game plus stuff. And it's not great. It's like time attack stuff and boss rush things. Overall, lackluster. Very typical of Capcom with add-on things. So that's it. I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
I've been playing. I picked up Final Fight Double Impact. Because, I don't know, every once in a while, that's one of my go-to games that, like I just have to go back to it every now and then. There's just something about that game. It's like one of my comfort games, Like if I just I can put it on really quick, jump right in, beat the snot out of some people. It's satisfying, and something always impresses me about it new like every time I play it. Like, and considering when it came out also, like brawlers were just like Double Dragon and they were all pretty mundane. You just kind of circle around each other and bap until they're dead. And you're playing with the same guy, but in Final Fight, you had 3 different characters with 3 different fighting styles, all equally adequate. Like you had your street brawler Cody, who I kind of like to use Cody because I love his jab, because it's almost as fast as you can jab the button, but there's still like 2 or 3 frames of animation in his jab, but it's so fast. And the satisfying when you're beating the snot out of somebody, I love it. I can just keep doing
like
that.
The frame hits, like when Ryu does like a slow-mo, like finishing Hayuken was like
yeah. So it's something like that. And but then you get bored with him, so you change it up. Hagar comes in, and his punch is a little bit slower. There's a few more frames of animation in his punch, and he aims low, like he goes for gut punches, whereas Cody goes for high face punches. And it just feels like there's this weight to it. Like he's heavy, it hurts.
That's good design.
Picking people up and suplexing. And it's so early and it's so good. And then Guy is like the, quick ninja fighter with the high kicks and stuff. Really, a little more spindly. He's like a combination of the two, but not really. There's no Hagar in him, but he's kind of like the more athletic Cody.
Yeah.
And it's like different people lean towards different ones. Like my buddy who's like all into martial arts, he really liked Guy because he loved his martial arts kicks. I like the more, I don't know, I guess streetwise kind of feel of Cody. And then, you have other people that just like the wrestling aspect of Hagar. So considering how old it is, and like the graphics are good, and there's so many different ports of it, it's just fun to compare all the different ports. Like the Super NES port, everyone shits on it because you can't play 2 players. They had to cut Guy out, but when you look at what they managed to squeeze as far as the music, the graphics, the gameplay, it's all there. So maybe,
but he's white and blue, not just blue.
I love Final Fight, but
well, that's gonna get you all excited for the Streets of Rage.
Streets of Rage, Blaze, the girl, the hot one. She's so hot.
And you know what? Like, I'm such a Sega guy. Everyone's like, oh, well, how come you don't like Streets of Rage better? I was like, I'm not crazy about Streets of Rage 1. The music is awesome, but I don't know.
I'm not that crazy about them either. I think 2's fucking amazing.
Yeah, 2's great.
3's a little wonky.
3 got weird. Yeah.
3 got wonky, and 1's just a shittier 2. So 2's just the go-to.
Yeah. 2 is the one. So.
Fun fact, Streets of Rage 4, did you know that Sega hired Core Design to make Streets of Rage 4 for the Sega Saturn? And they did not like the direction, and Sega wanted them to do something else, and then Core said no, and they released Fighting Force.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. That was supposed to be a final Streets of Rage game. Yeah,
Fighting Force is pretty fun, but
it's okay.
it's all right. I think Streets of Rage 4 is going to kind of be shitty.
I know. I don't want it to be. I see it now. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I like that. I've been playing something not video gamey. I'm back into Dungeons and Dragons.
You're playing the most phenomenal game ever created.
Like the real stuff?
Yeah, like books,
Dungeons and Dragons.
pencils,
Dungeons and Dragons.
Who do you
dice,
Of Dungeons and Dragons.
who do you play with?
notebooks.
Dungeons and Dragons.
My old crew. We're getting the band back together and playing some Dungeons and Dragons.
So they come over?
I go there. So
You wear outfits?
everyone has been asking that. That's crazy. You know, it's like I'm telling people it's so funny you actually said that. Because that's something I was going to bring up.
You should keep doing this because I think there's like a youthfulness about this that's
we're all
in
in.
you
We're
because
all in.
of D&D.
Because usually my friend's the dungeon master. He's the one that runs the game, but he's like he's been doing it for so long, he doesn't want to do it anymore. So he's like,
Just
oh,
sounds
someone
funny.
else dungeon master. I'm like, I'll do it. So I'm the dungeon master.
Nice.
I run the game.
That sounds pretty badass.
Lightning bolt! Lightning bolt! Sleep! Lightning bolt! Lightning bolt! Sleep!
It's badass. It's a lot of work though, because we're using the new fifth edition, the newest edition of Dungeons and Dragons, and we've never played it before. So we're learning the new system, and there's so much shit to it, and it's just trying to remember so much, like how the spells work, and it's really in depth because these like uber nerds, it has to be, or else it's too babyish and they won't play it. So every little shit and fart and thing has to have a rule behind it and stats, but like you don't have to follow that. You can follow.
Yeah, you can be loose with it, right?
Yeah, but we want a happy medium. Like we're not going to be like rules Nazis over every single thing, but I want to get the combat rules down and all the abilities down and how spells work. I don't want to fudge all that. And the good thing about that is that you can jump into any group as long as your rules that you follow are legit for the most part. Then there's no conflict or anything. But there's so many different ways you can play. Like there's like DM versus the players, where the DM just comes up with this ridiculously hard adventure every game to just kill off the characters, and it's just to see how long they can last until everyone dies. Or the DM's telling the story like their version of Lord of the Rings, and he wants the other players to be the characters in his Lord of the Rings story. So like no one really dies. You're just kind of along for the story and you roll the dice for the combat. That's not fun because everyone kind of wants to do their own thing. So you got to find the happy medium between playing the game, setting the rules, creating an adventure that's, as long as they're not screwing around and they think about it a little bit, they can get through it. But if they don't think, then they can end up in deep trouble. But so it's a lot of work, but it's good to be back, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. And it was funny, a while back we were talking about like playing over the internet using the D20 website.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess there's been a bit of a falling out with the D20 people. You familiar? You remember what that is? The D20. So
no.
Oh well, D20 is a website you can go to. You can run online Dungeons and Dragons games like through Skype or whatever, and then it gives you like you can click something to roll dice for you, so everyone can see what you rolled, and I guess you can like map stuff out. So it's all these just web tools that you can run a Dungeons and Dragons game online with. But there's a whole I guess there's a subreddit, and then there's their message boards and all this stuff. And I guess they used to be really cool. And like if you had a YouTube channel or whatever, they give you like a premium account for free. All of a sudden the premium accounts are ending, and then they just started treating people like shit, I guess. And how well it always goes when like a company treats their fan base like dog shit. I mean, people love that. They love to be shit on.
Yeah.
So they all left. Yeah, and they were just like shit talking people on their own forums and like they didn't expect all these people would just leave, like, because they were the best tools. That they're why would anyone go anywhere else and do something shitty?
Yeah.
You know, and that's exactly what they did. They said, "Well, fuck you." They canceled all their accounts, and they're using these like lesser, more expensive tools to play their online gaming. So they had to issue an apology and not allow. Now they have designated people, like they don't want the developers or the people that run the site to go on the message board. So they've all been banned from commenting or doing their PR because they just cost them all this money and all these fans. So again, another lesson in how not to fuck up your company.
Yeah.
Speaking of companies that fucked up, Telltale sucks, huh?
I want you to tell me the telltale tale.
I'll tell you the telltale tale.
The telltale tale of the telltale.
Yeah. So, you know, Telltale.
Telltale.
So they kind of revitalized the graphic adventure, sort of the old, like the old King's Quest style games.
Yes.
Very story driven, puzzle solving, not a lot of action.
Yeah, they did that with like. Were they the ones that took charge of like the Borderlands one and the
Yeah.
Is
They
the
did a
Batman
Batman.
one?
Yeah, the first big one was the Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. Mhm.
That was the first big one. They also started off with the Back to the Future one. I think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was the first one that really.
They have a lot of them.
Then what was shortly after that? There was Back to the Future. There was a Jurassic Park one, which wasn't well received. But I didn't realize, like, I knew there was. Oh, then there was it Wolf? Is it Wolf Among Us?
Yeah, Wolf Among Us. Yeah,
Yeah.
has a cool.
And
cover.
they were doing Minecraft stories. So like,
Okay, man, they're a
Yeah,
busy team.
they were in a ton of crap. They had a ton of licenses,
They sure do.
and I guess they got in a little over their head. And I guess they got a bit of the EA attitude as far as they think their company is the shit and you should be privileged to work here. And as much as we shit on you, you should be thankful that you even get to walk through these doors. It's kind of the attitude that a lot of the employees were starting to complain about.
Where are they based out of? Do you know?
I want to say California, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But so all of a sudden, they said everyone showed up for work, and they gave everyone, I think it was either 30 minutes or 60 minutes to get out. Everybody leave. So like everyone just showed up, and there was no warning, no nothing. Just grab your shit and leave.
Why?
Lock the doors.
They're gonna hire new talent.
Ran out of money.
Oh,
Closed.
wait, Telltale's gone.
Gone.
Didn't they do Sonic 3D Blast? I think they did.
As Telltale, like that was.
No, Traveler's Tales.
Oh. Okay.
There was a tail in there somewhere. Yeah, Telltale wasn't around, but still,
Yeah.
I got the tail. I got half of it.
Right. You knew all those. You knew all the games they've been doing, and they kept one team on, a team of like I think it was like 18 people, and then they tweeted a couple days later, "Nope, we're out too." Is apparent.
They were in charge of maintaining the Twitter account until.
Yeah. Well, they I guess they were a team that was in charge of the next Minecraft story. I guess they were under contract to.
How do they run out of money when they have so many big licenses and publishers to work with them? I don't understand that.
I think they were paying big bucks for this stuff, and it was the last game. Last game that came out did not do well at all. I think the Batman one didn't do so well, and there was another one, but they were just hiring these huge teams to crank out all these games that they just weren't selling in the droves that they had to.
Yeah.
and without any warning, they just closed it up, and it sucks because like there was some people that had just started working there for a week, and they had they moved across the country to get this nice swanky job with Telltale, and there's no severance packages. They can't even sell off any IPs to make the money back because they don't own any of
They
the
don't
IPs.
own any.
They're all licensed.
Yeah, they don't have anything to
Their own
sell.
shit. Everything was licensed. So they're just gone.
They're gone.
Mm-hmm.
They just gotta. Those people just gotta move on. So put them on their resume and look for work.
Right. And there's already who was it? Someone was picking up some of the teams. I forget. But I mean, same thing when 38 Studios closed up like that, and everyone just, the whole building was just escorted out at the same time, and a bunch of companies stepped up and hired a bunch of those guys. So people that kind of feel bad for them are trying to scoop them up. So yeah, it's a mess. It's gross. It's like the worst tragedies of gaming companies since 38 Studios.
It certainly is a tale to tell.
It is. The tale of Telltale has been told.
Well, on a lighter note, Sony's making a tiny little PlayStation.
Oh, yeah.
The Sony one looks very much like the Nintendo's. It's all exactly look into the original box, but tiny.
Honey, I Shrunk the classic game console.
Kind of got announced with no real information. There still is no real information of what games are going to be on there, just that there's going to be 20. I think they talked about 5 of them.
About that, yeah.
Normal old Sony stuff. And it's coming out in December. It's going to be
$99 US.
So what do you think about that, Chris? That's good.
Well, it's interesting. It's cool. It'd be nice to have one. PS1 HDMI out. No dual analog. No dual shock controllers, but it comes with 2 regular PlayStation controllers. So
Yeah, so it's going to be older gen PS1 titles for sure.
yeah. You might get a Metal Gear Solid, but the dual shock was such a part of the experience.
That was like, yeah.
So, I mean, you could pull it off. It'll work. Like, you could probably you can finish the game, but without the rumble and the analog sticks, I don't know. It just won't be the same experience. What is it? Ape Escape is impossible because that
Impossible. Only uses the analog sticks.
Mm-hmm. And so, outside of that, some of the titles they mentioned are interesting. We talked about Jumping Flash a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like how
It's
that's
great.
like an underrated, cool PlayStation exclusive, and that was launched. But that game's so old, like people are like, "What? These games suck." I'm like, like, is that niche of people like me and you and a few others that are kind of psyched that game's on there? We're hoping for Jumping Flash 2. And those, didn't you say there was a 3 as well?
Yeah, but it's
3.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool if they throw that on there. Like
it'd be neat. Yeah.
If you beat the first level of Jumping Flash 1, Jumping Flash 2, you unlock Jumping Flash 3. What else do they say?
I don't think much else. At least nothing else I really know.
Let's speculate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a few factors that need to be ironed out that will determine what's going to be on it. Now, they remastered a lot of that stuff. Spyro, Crash.
Yeah, so we don't know how the visuals really are going to look, because you said HDMI PS1 is cool, and that is, but you have to remember that everyone that owns a PS3 and a PS2 have that ability.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, and that's my biggest issue with it in general, because if it doesn't have, which I don't think it will, it's going to be a very normal little box, but I think it needs to include some things to make it like a home run without feeling like gypped off. Mm-hmm. I think that the market is only going to be for like people getting like gifts for Christmas and stuff like that, and they just see it passing by. For someone like you or I'm not down with it, only because it's PS1 games. Sony has and have had so many PS2 and PS1 classics available on their network for PS3 and PS4 forever. And a lot of people bought them, like me, like when they had flash sales, I bought a bunch of old ones when they were like a couple bucks. And for $100, I wish it had network capabilities.
Yeah.
So it had a store. And if I logged into my PSN network, the games that I already bought for the PS1
That'd be badass.
would run. That would be sweet. And I also wrote to talk about, I don't know if it's going to be real hardware though, or if it's going to be emulated, and if it's going to be able to run any kind of game down the road, or if it's kind of, I don't know how that's going to be.
I think if they did some kind of marketplace like that, and you could even, like even if they let you download one game at a time, like depending on how much memory it was, but if you could, you know, you already bought them on, you know, PSN somewhere else, and if they just attach that to your account and you could download any of those games and play it, that's like a buy for me.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Think about like if it came with like 5 games on there, and then you had like a voucher for the next 10 games that you pick on the store, something that like entices you, and then they start releasing them out like that. They can make it like a real thing, but I think they're just cashing in on the whole like nostalgic.
They could do that easily. They could do that.
It'd be neat. It'd be neat. I wish they did. And like besides it being cute and tiny, that's really where it ends, because I mean, for the longest time, PS3s were $199, and it's a PS3, which is also a PS1. It has the network store. It's a Blu-ray player. It's fucking a bunch of shit. So you're really just paying for that whole little tiny neat thing. Yeah. And I guarantee there's no DualShock because Sony pays royalties and they're cheap as fuck. They have to pay that company for all their systems that use DualShock. So that's probably what it really is.
And if it doesn't have, it most likely won't have those online capabilities, but I mean, if it did, but
yeah. Does it have Bluetooth?
No.
It should have Bluetooth.
They've announced.
It'd be cool to have Bluetooth, and you could just use your PS4 wireless shit, you know?
But as far as, like, if there were a collection of games, just games, that could go on it, that would get me to buy it and say, yep, now I want to get it because those games were on it. I know the games that I would want on it are too niche for, you know, their mass marketing. Because
that's what it is. Like, the ones that are going to be on there are ones that we own and played the fucking shit out of. You know what I mean? It's going to be like Tekken, Ridge Racer. It's going to be launch stuff, dude. It's going to be Destruction Derby, maybe. It's going to be stuff like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Twisted Metal.
There's so many good shooters on PS1 that get overlooked, like Einhander, G. Darius, Ray Crisis, and Ray Storm. But Ray Crisis has been remastered already.
I mean, it'd be cool if they open it up to all those like hard to get stuff. I have no interest in getting one, but it's neat. But I just feel like for that price point, it should have more.
And even if like Capcom gets on board and you get your
they probably will,
and your Resident Evils, but like so they put Resident Evil 1 on there. It's already been remastered
everywhere. It's been everywhere on everything.
The remake has been remastered. Like there's so many different ways you can play it. Like,
all these games people played originally, and then they got the free PS Plus version and the classic versions and the remasters, and it's just so. It's just for people that I don't know. All I can imagine that is for an audience that's too young to remember the PS1. Because if you were like old enough to just be buying that when it was out, you just played the fucking shit out of it so much. Like, it doesn't feel as old to me as like the NES Classic, where like I don't want to boot up an NES, and it's not convenient to try to launch stuff from the Wii to play old NES stuff. Nintendo sucks with that. Like Sony, I could just do it on,
And plus, there's the whole, you know, being able to hack the Nintendo ones and throw a shit ton of ROMs on them. You're not going to be able to do that on the PS Classic. It's not going to have the memory for it.
Yeah.
You know, like all you need is, like, I guess they actually put bigger memory than they needed on the NES Classics because it's actually cheaper. Like if it's a gig or whatever, I don't know. But to like get a custom made memory chip with just enough memory for those 3 games, it's more expensive than to just throw, you know, the billions of, you know, gig chips that you could just throw in there for dirt cheap. So that's why. You can't fit the entire Super NES library because of the size of the games, but you can get most of them, like 200 to 300. Like if you're not satisfied with 200 Super NES games, then there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
But you might be able to hack the PS1 Classic and fit a couple more games on there, but that's it. Like the memory is just going to fill right up.
Yeah.
So unless you can somehow solder in some more memory, I don't know, but it's going to be harder. It's not going to be just plug it in, apply the hack, and insert the game's done. It's not going to be that. It's not going to be that easy. But if they do pull that off, then that would be pretty interesting. If you could get a couple hundred PS1 games on there, even then, without the DualShock.
Check this out.
Okay.
Like all they need is like a little tiny gimmick to like lure people like me in. You know what a gimmick would be for me that I'd be fucking sold on?
What's that?
You buy memory cards, like how Sony used to sell the memory cards in the packs, like the little 8 megabyte memory cards.
Yeah.
And they would be loaded with certain types of games. Like the fighter's memory card. So you pop the memory card and you get a bunch of fucking beat 'em ups and shooters, racing games. That's the shit. I would buy one because of that. And then they would every month or so they'd release a new memory card and you would swap it in like a cartridge.
Yeah. And like
That'd
you
be
put
sick.
it in, like the early PS1s had that expansion port on the back that was never used. That's where
Oh yeah. Yeah, they still have that on there. Speaking of hacking stuff, the Switch is going to have new hardware apparently coming out next year. I don't know if you saw anything about that. What it sounds like to me is that
Switch Classic Mini.
I don't think it's going to be anything crazy.
Too soon.
I don't think so. The Switch, it was revealed maybe it was like 6 months ago that they discovered that there was a flaw in the hardware of the Switch chip that NVIDIA puts in there, and it's not something that they can fix with an update. It's a hardware flaw that can be hacked. They can try to make it a little more difficult, but it's a fuck up.
Yeah.
So basically, they have to release a revised chipset. They have to do it. So this sounds like a combination of just like a refresh plus fixing that problem. There's no real details. They might make the screen a little bit nicer, like the quality and this and that. That's all we really know. I just think it's kind of the Switch that's a system that shouldn't really have a refresh. It's a cheaper system. It's not like its strength isn't on like power and things like that.
Yeah.
So it should just be a quiet changeover. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like the pricing, if there's a price drop, the new Switch revision should have a same price with it. I mean, the Switch is the same price as a PS4 or Xbox. Yeah. So I mean, they can't get people excited for like a revision if it's going to.
I have heard that, and people ask, well, then the original one's going to be worth more money because of what you can do for it. But I don't think so because they sold so damn many of them.
No,
I don't think there's enough people to scoop all those up and do the hacks.
Dude, there's so many things you can hack. Like, I mean, you can hack a Vita, you can hack a PSP, you can hack all that stuff. You know what I mean? So like the Switch, I don't know. If I was going to look into getting like get like a Vita or a PSP where they're not supporting it anymore versus the Switch where Nintendo's going to try to make it harder and harder to keep it hacked. I don't know. Stupid.
Yeah. It sounds like Sony is exiting the handheld market.
Yeah.
No plans for a Vita follow-up.
Yeah. The Vita, like, it's just like typical Sony when they release like products, like their actual hardware products of anything. Their product themselves, it's like, dude, when did the Vita come out? It was like 2009.
Mm-hmm.
That thing's a beast, dude. That's a monster. It's unbelievable that hardware was but it just came out at a funny time when smartphones were starting to take over things, and it's just but the power and everything was great, but I don't know.
The price was just a little out of reach for a lot of people, I think.
And we were at a time where like people, everything was changing with like technology, especially like mobile stuff, that carrying something like that around, things weren't perfected that it made sense. Like I feel like the Switch makes more sense because the Switch intentionally doesn't have certain things on there that cell phones do for a reason. I don't know.
I remember playing it when it first came out on the kiosk, and I'm immediately blown away by how cool that screen was, like how nice it looked.
It's really impressive. It's like a real PS3 Lite, and but it just has the normal problems with something that's, I mean, it's almost 10 years old. It looks that nice, battery life and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
What you gonna do?
And then still have the proprietary memory. You still had to buy the friggin'
Hey, it's
overpriced
Sony. You got it.
dummies.
That's what Sony's all
That was
about.
dumb.
That's what it's
That was
all about.
really dumb.
They have advantages over normal micro SD cards and things like that.
No,
What those advantages are, don't know.
the word Sony.
Sony, and expensive
Mm-hmm.
and impossible to find down the road when no one's buying the Vitas anymore. You wrote that Red Dead Redemption 2 looks awesome, which it does.
Yeah.
It looks awesome. They showed they released the 10-minute gameplay trailer. It's just a through and through gorgeous game. Attention to detail all over the place. I think it looks
It
amazing.
just sounds like what you're going to be able to. It's ramping up what you can do in an open world game.
Yeah, it is one of those games that scares me off though.
Yeah, like too much.
Yeah,
I probably won't have time to really dig into it. Like I just kind of want to observe it from afar and see what you can do and kind of make note of that. Well, that's neat, but I know I'll never have time to. Like you can go out, you know.
it's just I'll get to it. I mean maybe I'll get to it sooner than later. But like it's almost like I remember when Breaking Bad was out, and everybody was like up my fucking dick to get to watch Breaking Bad. Like, dude, Breaking Bad, you should bring. I'm like, no, I didn't see it yet. I'll see it. Like, it is the best show of all time. I'm like, okay. Then I saw it like 8 years later. I watched it like all in a couple of days, and yeah, it was one of the best shows of all time. But it was the same kind of thing. I'm just like, I'm like that with Game of Thrones. Like, I don't want to get.
But dude, Game of Thrones. No, I'm just kidding. But I'll tell you the one thing that sounds like a blast, and I at least want to try that.
Sonic 3D Blast?
No. Not that kind of blast. But
Bubsy 3D?
No.
Okay, sorry.
Blast processing. But in Red Dead Redemption 2,
Yeah.
online co-op train robberies.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Maybe you and me can play it. Be cowboys.
Yeah, let's be cowboys.
East Coast Riders.
Yeah, let's
gonna
be
be up?
Westworld for real. Black Ops 4 is next week.
Tomorrow. Isn't it?
God.
This is the first Call of Duty in a really long time that I'm like really interested to check it out because I really dig the direction and the way it looks, the style for like online. I think it's gonna be fucking pretty fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna get it. I don't know what that was, but I want to get it on PC, sorta. Yeah.
Like you?
Yeah.
This is what? Yeah, that's interesting. That you're
I'd get it on.
in the COD.
I'd get it on PC.
Well, if you get it on Xbox One, I will get it eventually.
But if Microsoft was just fucking, Microsoft should just let it fucking. No, that's not up to Microsoft. That's up to Activision.
What's that? The timed releases or whatever?
No, the Play Everywhere shit that they do. So if I buy a Microsoft published game on PC, I can play it on Xbox.
Oh yeah,
which is nice.
Yeah, it is up to the publisher. They probably
has to be a Microsoft Game Studios game.
Yeah,
and there's funny ones where Microsoft picks and chooses what it does. Like Gears of War 4, nah, they're like, no, this is a big game, so you can fuck off.
There's some PlayStation 5 buzz. See that?
No.
Kenichiro Yoshida, in an interview with Financial Times, said it is working on a successor to the PS4, but stopped short of calling it the PlayStation 5. At this point, what I can say is it's necessary to have a next-generation hardware.
Yeah. So we'll see, because I think, like, it's a funny time, because, like, we're still, I think we talked about it before, but we're still in an in-between for, like, the next generation as far as, like, the smaller and different processing chips and things. They're not, like, mass-produced enough yet to make it a big enough jump if they try to change it up now. Mm-hmm. But I don't think anybody would be really excited if they just did, like, another console with better graphics. I think we're gonna get into a like a PC plug and play hardware kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what Microsoft's looking to do.
They need to do that. I mean, it's the way it is, man. That's just the way. It's the way it is.
I feel like if one of these technological feats takes off, Microsoft will be able to pull it off better, just because they have the infrastructure for it. Like PS4 kind of did good with slapping together a console with good graphics. The marketing was there. Microsoft really fucked up with the Xbox One launch really bad.
Really bad.
And has not, well, I don't say they haven't recovered, but they haven't. I think they're stable, but they're not on top of the world.
Yeah, they're just fighting for the next round because they're not going to come out on top for this one for just sheer number of volume. Well, the first couple of years there was no exclusives that were really giant, and then all the multi-platform stuff, it all ran better on Sony's system for the longest time. So that was just what you did. Like if you were just buying completely unbiased, you were playing one system, you'd be playing PS4 more until the Pro and the One was out because they just ran better.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think Microsoft's just kind of like the Xbox One X. It's just to have them do something relevant to say, we haven't thrown in the towel. Here's this. That's like, okay, like they just Xbox One is a failure, but they're kind of fixed the problems that it had, but it's not enough to.
They did everything to fix it,
right?
As far as like hardware.
I think they're going to triple down on the next console, and as far as the technology behind the online, the networking, and all that, it's just they're going to try and scoop it up that way.
They need to win people that way because Sony has a big upper hand for just in-house talent, and that's not going to change no matter how good they make their next system.
Right. But they've been scooping up companies. Obsidian, I think, is the newest one that's about to sign on. I've seen they did Pillars of Eternity and a couple other pretty neat games. They're not like a AAA studio, but I think they're scooping up these companies that took what little they had and were able to crank out something amazing. And their logic is if they can give them the financial backing to let them do whatever they want.
Yeah, they need to give them that freedom.
And I think they will have that. I think that's the way it looks right now for when the next console generation comes out. And Microsoft is really looking at being able to stream all these games to mobile devices. And I think if that becomes the trend where hardware is starting to die out, and you can stream all this stuff, I think Microsoft will be able to do that better. I think PS4 will lag behind because they don't have the technological backing and the network strength to be able to pull off all that stuff. They tried PlayStation Now streaming service, and I don't know anyone that even thinks about using it. I tried the beta a couple times. I played a cheap was it the Choplifter remake?
Okay.
It worked. But it would lag. It would hang up, and I had a decent internet connection. So you can't play Call of Duty or anything like that on a streaming service. You just can't. So, but I think if anyone were to make it work, where you could almost, I don't even know if it's possible to be able to pull off online shooter matches on streaming devices. I just don't think it's possible. But if anyone can make that work to the point where the masses are attracted to be able to use it, I think Microsoft will be able to pull it off better than Sony will.
I think Microsoft's going to be able to pull it off if they bring back the Street Fighter simulations.
What? What is that?
FA18. The Street Fighter. Is it Street Fighter? Strike Fighter. Strike Fighter simulation. Focus.
That's amazing. Where'd that come from?
He was just sitting on my desk.
He's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he goes, right there.
Okay, well, that's a wrap. This guy can stay, right? There we go.
Aw.
Until next time, I'm going to have a bunch of stuff. I'm going to play 30 games by next week.
30 games?
No. Five.
5?
I
30
won't-
or
I
5?
won't play them all.
We're going to come back next week and I'll say, okay, Jamie, did you play 30 or 5 games?
5.
Okay.
For 30 minutes each minimum.
Yeah.
Okay, okie dokie, Smokey, I'm going to go.